Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Monique suing Netflix and that situation. And I'm going to be giving a little bit of a timeline about how this situation with Monique and Netflix first started. So basically, Monique, I remember this happening last year, I believe. Monique came out on social media and the video of her going viral saying that she is suing, or she basically wanted us all to boycott Netflix because of racial and gender bias. Those were her words. And basically she said that she was offered $500,000 or $500,000 to do a comedy special with Netflix. Now, as that news came out, I will admit that I kind of, jumped on the bandwagon. Not too much, just a little bit, because I said, yes, we have heard about this. We have heard about Black women and women of color who get paid less for doing the same jobs or in the same fields as their male counterparts or their white male counterparts and their white female counterparts. We get it. We have seen this. So at first, I definitely said, okay, Monique may be onto something. And this is not the first time that we have heard of a corporation, a company, a business that, or an institution that has definitely discriminated people of color, minorities, LGBTQs, or basically anyone who belongs to a certain marginalized / protected group. We have not been surprised, and we have heard the stories of the pay gap, and we're still trying to fight and close the pay gap as it pertains to all people, especially Black women in the work field, in all areas, in all industries. Now, Monique came out and said this, and of course, a lot of Black people were on her side. A lot of Black people said we have to fight in solidarity with that. A lot of Black people were up in arms about it, or at least from my point of view on social media. Now, I saw Lovelyty's video on it, and she basically said, oh no, she's not canceling her Netflix, and she's not, cutting off her Netflix. Now, I will tell you this disclaimer. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Hulu. I do not subscribe to any streaming service. I do watch shows from Netflix, but that is from, watching with other people who have Netflix, okay? But I am able to watch Netflix shows and other streaming service shows through other ways, so don't ask, okay? But anyway, I am coming from a very neutral, unbiased position. Now, as I said in my other video that I made about Monique after Steve Harvey and Lee Daniels' show get canceled, I have explained this. After finding out the second video, or after finding out another one of Lovelyty's videos where somebody else broke it down and said, well, Monique didn't tell you this. She was offered originally $3 million, but she was told to come in and audition. And she said she didn't want to come in and audition because, I forgot the guy's name. His name was Jason something. And he basically said that she failed to tell us that she was offered $3 million, but her ego got in the way because she didn't want to audition. And so, okay, Netflix said this. Why don't we offer you $500,000 and you do the show, and if it does good numbers, we'll increase it. And that's honestly negotiation, but she didn't want to do it. And of course, in her mind, or her ego basically said, well, I'm an Oscar winner. Does Dave Chappelle and does Amy Schumer and does Chris Rock, do they have to come in and audition? Do they get that much? Do they get $500,000 for comedy specials? Now, granted, I have said this. I did say this, that yes, this woman is an Oscar winner. This woman won a prestigious award, but guess what? That is an award for acting, not comedy. And Lovelyti also broke this down, where she said that in the difference between her and the Dave Chappelles and the Chris Rocks of the world, as the Jason guy just said as well, they're selling out arenas. They're still doing comedy work. Their names still ring bells. Okay, they're still well known. They're still popular in some way, shape, or form. And a side note, with Amy Schumer, like I said, I didn't really know Amy Schumer until the roast. That's really how she was well known to the industry, to this world, to Hollywood and stuff. I actually found out about Amy Schumer in a College Humor video. That was my first introduction to her. And then she had movies like Trainwreck, and then she had movies like I'm So Pretty, or I'm So Pretty, or something like that. Then she had that. And I heard those were not too very funny. I heard those were pretty flops, especially her Netflix special. She got a Netflix special and it flopped. I heard it was a big flop, or a big comedy flop. And that also made me realize, this is probably what Monique was talking. It's funny how you'll give her a platform and her thing flopped. Now, granted, the difference between a Monique and an Amy Schumer, although Amy Schumer did not pull her own weight, and although the thing that Netflix gave her flopped, the thing is, she was popular. Even if her thing flopped, the thing is, the reason they gave it to her, the reason they bet on her was because she was popular. And let me tell you this, Netflix, like any other TV show and like any other TV station, they do give money to people. They do give money and they do give platforms to things that do flop. It's life, unfortunately. It is. You win some, you lose some. And I do believe the reason they weren't willing to take that bet on Monique versus Amy Schumer is because Amy Schumer was popular at the time and Monique was not. Lovelyti even says when you go on Monique's page, or at the time, you say you go on Monique's page versus you go on Dave Chappelle's page and Chris Rock's page, Monique has a lot of workout videos. She's not necessarily doing comedy. And I'm watching some videos on the Breakfast Club about the rumor report. And there are some people said, hey, she's not funny. She hasn't been funny in a while. She was never funny. She should crack a joke or two. Monique is just not popular. And I think that's the case. And some people say it's due to her being blackballed. And I do think she was out of the woodwork for the time. And I do believe that her critique, especially of certain Black people in the industry, has its validity. But I also do believe that it's coming from a very bitter and hurt place from her. I believe that because she's not making it like a Lee Daniels or a Steve Harvey or an Oprah or whoever else is above her, then she's putting out this so-called woke, quote unquote, pro-Black stance to say we need to stand in solidarity and it's an integrity game. Although she's right and although there is validity in that, I do believe she's only coming out and saying this at this point because she's not making it. And the fact that she turned down $3 million after a refusal to audition is because who knows? Maybe she knows that she wouldn't have passed the audition. And maybe it's also because she feels like because she's an Oscar winner, she should just get it, everything hand over fist. And look, I have heard this before. I feel like, and I've heard that certain awards, certain prominent and prestigious awards get you certain accolades, especially if you're that good. But believe it or not, I've even heard that even if you do win a couple of awards, you still have to act. You still have to audition. You still have to go in for a role. You still have to be quote unquote right for the role or the position in which you're asking for. But like I said, she won an Oscar for acting, not for comedy. Those are two different realms. But I do believe with the title and the name and the work she's put in the game, she should get at least something. Now, I also heard from, I think, Anti-Afro Svengalis in one video she made that Monique was at one point doing shows in Vegas and was getting paid more or was offered more to do shows in Vegas than she would have ever gotten offered at Netflix. And this is one of the things I said in my last video. Maybe Netflix was just not for her. Maybe it was something that, was a first step because a lot of things go on Netflix. Okay. Netflix is really changing the game. Like I said, Netflix and streaming services. Okay. We all hear Disney Plus and BET Plus and there's Apple TV Plus. Everything has a plus in it. But at the same time, like I said, Netflix is changing the game. But however, maybe Netflix was just not for her. I even heard about Wanda Sykes. They said Wanda Sykes, I think she said, put out a tweet or something or a statement saying, okay, well, I went to Netflix and they offered me a job or I went to Netflix and I was up for something and they turned me down, but instead I went to somewhere else. And I think maybe Monique should have done that. There were a few commentators in the Breakfast Club homepage or in the Breakfast Club video about her suing Netflix saying that, well, Gary Owens got turned down by, Netflix or certain other people, but he pulled his money together or he started his own thing. And I think maybe Monique should have done that, especially since it's all about integrity and since it's all about, we shouldn't sell our souls to the highest bidder or just settle for anything, which I agree with. Okay. But at the same time, well, maybe you should have started your own stuff. Maybe you should have went somewhere else. And if the case was that you were doing something in Vegas and that was better than Netflix, then maybe Vegas was where you were supposed to go. And the thing is, maybe if it was really good in Vegas, you could have taped it or something and then sold it to Netflix. You could have done that. That's what Beyonce did with her Coachella performance when she did Homecoming. Mind you, I did not see Homecoming, but I heard this is what Beyonce did. You could have done something like that. Now, let me get into this. I personally believe, like I said in my last video, and I'll probably link this video in the description, I said this, Monique probably just is not good at negotiating and she's not good at business. And I heard her husband is a very terrible, shitty manager. I heard he's a terrible manager. He's just having her back and I think he's just her yes man. It's starting to look like that at this point. And with this lawsuit, it's coming off as she's just milking the situation because she is, one, trying to stay relevant and two, trying to get some money out of Netflix. She's trying to siphon money out of Netflix. And now she's saying that she did this or she's doing this so, like Tiffany Haddish can, understand, or she can fight for the other women and the other Black people. But I personally think, and look, Monique has been somewhat consistent when it comes to, standing in solidarity with her brothers and her sisters. And, in some cases, she's on the right track with that. But in this case, she's not really on the right track. And she leaked out that secret recording with Tyler Perry. And Lovelyti says that one of the reasons she doesn't get behind Monique, especially with this Netflix stuff, is because she notices that Monique likes to throw other Black people under the bus, but yet and still she won't say anything bad about Amy Schumer, especially about Roseanne Barr, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But, I've never really noticed that, but I also do believe that Lovelyti, especially with the videos that she has pointed out, it's starting to seem like, yes, Monique is really just milking this because she's just bitter and angry that she's not making it. And the thing about Tiffany Haddish, I heard she was upset at Tiffany Haddish for taking less money. However, I also heard that Tiffany Haddish's was put up against 6 other comics. And like I said, the difference between a Chris Rock and a Dave Chappelle and a Tiffany Haddish and a Amy Schumer, although her comedy special on Netflix flopped from what I found out, they're popular. They're selling out arenas like that Jason guy. The difference between a Monique and the Dave Chappelles and the Chris Rock and Amy Schumer is the one word, arena. They're selling out arenas. And I feel like because Monique has not done a lot of work in a while, and like I said, it could be to account of her being, so-called blackballed, but I also think because she hasn't really been consistent and because her name hasn't rang a lot of bells and she's been like out of the loop a little bit in a while. The last thing I know that she did movie-wise or, just career-wise, she was in a movie called Last Christmas with like Gabrielle Union, Kimberly Elise and all that. So I personally think she's just barely been working. But like I said, I think her husband is a terrible manager. I've been hearing this. Her husband is just her yes man. So it's starting to look like maybe she just needs to hire a better team as well. And like I said, one of the things that I agreed with Steve Harvey is like, yes, there is a money game. This is business. And you just also have to know to negotiate. She does not know how to negotiate. And I think this, discrimination thing, this discrimination lawsuit, like I said, is just a way to milk it out. I don't believe that this is any good intention for, the Black women or the Black people to get our worth. I really believe it's all about her. She's just doing this because she's not making it. She's calling out the big names and the big Black names in Hollywood because she's not making it. And although I do think there's a certain level of responsibility, like I said, that especially Black people who make it to care and to, look out for people in their community. Aries Spears called this out. I do think there's a certain level of responsibility, but I also do think that certain people aren't putting in the work in which they should and are not looking at this, especially from a business aspect, and they're going in on ego and pride and emotion, and, the whole world is against us. And they're not wrong. There is validity, like I said, in what they say, but I think Monique is really just milking it at this point. To be honest, there really is no substance to what Monique is doing. From what I hear, there's no substance. And honestly, here's how you know that Monique is really just about herself and what Monique or what Lovelyti said had something to do or is right in this situation. Here is what Lovelyti said. Lovelyti said that, she's willing to throw other Black people under the bus, yet and still she refers to Amy Schumer as her sister Amy. And remember, she called Roseanne Barr her sister in comedy. Right after that situation with, Roseanne Barr comparing Valerie Jarrett to the, Islamic Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes, when the same tweet that got Roseanne's show taken off and, her fired and everything like that. Monique came out and said, Monique came out and said that Roseanne Barr is her sister in comedy and she wasn't going to throw her away, and how, oh, we always talk about this forgiveness stuff and this Christianity, but it's when it's time to give it, we don't do it. And Lovelyti pointed something out. Where was Roseanne Barr when you were going through all this? So I don't necessarily think Monique is as woke or is as, quote unquote, here for the people. She's just mad that she's not making it. And I do think she does not know how to handle business or negotiate in business. She doesn't know how to think smart. She really doesn't know how to think wise and play the game of chess right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say that in terms of the integrity game, she is wrong, but in terms of in the money game, Steve Harvey made some points. So yes, I do think he was a little bit cocky on his show, but let's just be honest, Monique is not innocent here either. I have to say this. A lot of people were dragging Steve Harvey for what he said. Maybe he could have said it better, but a lot of people were dragging Steve Harvey for what he said. They both made valid points, but then Monique is not innocent. Let's stop acting like because Monique is in a position that we can all relate to, especially with some of us in our 9-to-5 jobs, okay? Let's just stop acting like because Monique is in a position that we can all relate to, that for some reason she's so quote unquote woke, okay? This lawsuit, to be honest, to me, sounds like BS. And I have to really point this out. Lovelyti made a great point. Now, this is coming from someone, again, who does not have Netflix or a streaming service, so I can come out very unbiased with this. Like Lovelyti said, Netflix and certain streaming platforms and, pay-per-view platforms and, non-primetime TV platforms, Netflix has given a lot of small-time creators, especially Black creators, Black women creators, LGBTQ creators, and a lot of indie creators, a lot of movies that are not in theaters right now, or that probably would have been harder or more or cost more to get into theaters. A lot of, these shows, these movies that we watch, hell, When They See Us is one of them. Dear White People, She's Gotta Have It. Like I said, even if these shows didn't last long, the whole point is Netflix gave it a platform, okay? Netflix has given opportunities to a lot of people that probably would have never gotten it or would have taken very, very long to get it. Netflix has done that for, people, especially people who are minorities and people who are, on a small scale, indie projects and whatnot. There are certain movies that you will never see in theaters or you wouldn't have ever seen in theaters or on TV, and it's on Netflix. And guess what? Some of these same shows and movies get nominated for Emmys and Oscars and whatnot. So I think Monique is just bugging because she didn't want to negotiate properly. She let her pride and ego get in the way. And what I hate about this whole Netflix hobo tour, as Lovelyti calls it, is because it does not help our plight. And this is one of the things I look at, especially with Boyce Watkins' channel. He tends to talk about a lot of race-related topics, and although he makes valid points in some of them, one of the reasons I ended up unsubscribing was because it's like, especially with him, his commentary and his comment section, it just seems like the focus was just, how do we make this thing about racism, white supremacy? Even if there is a connection, it just seems like there is no looking at it from a logical or critical standpoint. It always has to tie into racism, white supremacy. And although, like I said, there is validity in it, I do believe some of them are reaching for something that isn't there. And I do believe this is the case with Monique. And so I can't see Monique going anywhere with this. Hey, if she wins, she wins. You can sue pretty much for anything. Okay, you can pull out a lawsuit for anything from what I found out, but whether you win or not is the case. And I don't believe there's any racial discrimination. I would not be surprised because, like I said, this is not the first time something like this has happened or people made a claim at a business that claimed to be so here for the progression and, there was an issue, right? Trust me, I would not be surprised at any powers that be. But in this case, I really don't see it. I really don't see it. And honestly, I personally think she's just mad she didn't get that deal. Because like I said in my last video, I think had she got that deal or the money she wanted, she wouldn't be saying anything. So I personally feel like this is just something personal for her. And she's just on a hobo tour because she needs money. She wants money. But I personally think she needs to get a different team. She needs to get a new team. She needs to just stop having just her husband manage her. I think she needs to probably get an agent, a manager, a better manager, and a better team around her. And I think she doesn't want want to do that. I think she's just trying to run on a 1-woman/2 couple show, but she isn't wrong a little bit about her integrity stuff, but I think she's just milking the hell out of this case. And I know I have a lot more to say. Tell me your thoughts in the comment sections, please. But like I said, she just does not know how to negotiate and handle business. She needs a new manager. And I personally think she's just milking the hell out of this case. And I've said that countless times, but I'm beating the horse so you can get it into your mind, okay? So thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section, and I will catch up with you in the next video.